The movie The Sword with No Name depicts a dramatized version of the traumatic story of the assassination of Queen Myeongsung, the last queen of the Joseon dynasty. The director of this film is Kim Yong-yoon. Some other films he has directed include The Killer Tune, made in 2013, The Red Shoes, made in 2005, and Wani and Juno, made in 2001. The Sword with No Name was released in 2003, and the Korean title was 불꽃처럼, 나비처럼, which translates to like fireworks, like butterflies. This is actually the name of the novel that this movie was based off of, which was written by Ya So-rok. Along with being directed by Kim Yong-yoon, the movie was written by Lee Suk-yeon. Now onto the cast of this movie. The main actress of the movie is Park Soo-hye, also known mononymously as Soo-hye. She played Min Cha-young in the movie, the woman who would later go on to be Queen Myeongsung. Park Soo-hye has been in many other movies and shows, including Flu, High Society, Midnight FM, Mask, and her breakout film A Family. The main actor of the film was Cho Seung-woo, who played Moomyoung, which in Korean translates to nameless, which is likely what inspired the English name of the movie. Moomyoung was the bounty hunter who fell in love with Cha-young. Cho Seung-woo has been in many other movies and shows as well, including Stranger, Life, The Classic, and Feng Shui. Some other actors from the film include Chun Ho-jin, who played Daewon-gun, the father of Kim Go-jong, Kim Young-min, who actually played Kim Go-jong, and Choi Jae-young, who played Noe-jeon, a royal guard. On to the plot of the movie. The movie is set during the Joseon dynasty around the 1890s. It begins when bounty hunter Moomyoung meets and falls in love with noblewoman Min Cha-young. Eventually, Min Cha-young has to go off to marry Kim Go-jong and be the next queen of Joseon. Moomyoung was devastated at the loss of his love, and so he went to the royal palace to try to become a guard. After surviving a test wherein he was shot while wearing a bulletproof vest to see if the vest worked, he was finally allowed to be a royal guard so he could be closer to his love, Cha-young. Meanwhile, Queen Myeongsung began efforts to try to modernize the dynasty by working with foreign powers. Her father-in-law, Daewon-gun, however, did not appreciate her meddling with foreign powers, and he was worried about the influences it would have on the country. Queen Myeongsung increasingly had more people wanting her gone, as they thought that she was going to mess with the way things were going with relations between Russia and Japan. Moomyoung was eventually banned from the palace after failing to protect Kim Go-jong, and Kim Go-jong refused to let him have contact with Queen Myeongsung no matter how hard he tried to prove his worthiness. Eventually, the Japanese came to try to assassinate Queen Myeongsung. However, Moomyoung did everything in his power to try to save her by fighting off the Japanese assassins, but eventually he succumbed and was killed by the assassins. Queen Myeongsung, who had refused to flee for fear of having her reputation tarnished, was also assassinated by the Japanese, and the movie ended with the death of the two lovers who never really got a chance to be together. It is interesting to try to compare the events of this movie with reality. The assassination of Queen Myeongsung was very much real, but the character Moomyoung was made up, as his name may suggest. Queen Myeongsung really did try to help with the modernization of Korea, and she had a target on her back because of this. She really was brutally murdered by the Japanese, but the truth about her assassination was covered up for years. In reality, it involved her being raped, cut open with knives, and eventually burned alive. The Sword with No Name is a great movie to watch if you're interested in learning more about the Joseon dynasty and the death of Queen Myeongsung. Though the relationship between Cha-young and Moomyoung is made up, It made for a great device to make the movie very interesting by providing just enough romance, tension, and sadness to make the movie really worthwhile watching. I know I got really involved with this movie and it made me really interested in wanting to learn more about the history of Queen Myeongsang and the Joseon Dynasty. Therefore, I think this movie is a great movie to watch to get to know about Queen Myeongsang before delving into research about the real-life queen who suffered such a terrible death.